Welcome, everyone. The event is now live. John, please take it away.
Thanks, Victoria. Hi, everyone. Welcome to today's Tech Talk, Leaving Microsoft Unified for Third-Party Support, How Two Large Enterprises Made the Switch. This event was organized by the hardworking folks at Redmond Magazine, and it's sponsored by US Cloud, the world's only independent third-party provider of full replacement of Microsoft Premier and Unified Support. I'm John K. Waters, Editor-in-Chief in the Converge 360 group of 1105 Media. And I'm joined today by Mike Jones, Vice President of Product Development at US Cloud, Bob Love, Director of Information Technologies at Bottom Line, and Geoff Stone, IT Services Cluster Owner-UCC at Dormakaba. Welcome, gentlemen.
Hey there, John.
Hi, John.
Greetings.
So Mike and I are going to be talking with Bob and Geoff about the impact of recent changes in Microsoft's support model, the issues that prompted their organizations to consider a third-party support provider, and the challenges each organization faced during the switch. But before we get started, I need to do just a bit of housekeeping. This Tech Talk is being recorded for later access. Keep an eye out for an email with a link to that recording. It'll be coming your way in the next few days. Our sponsor has provided some extra resources you won't want to miss. They're available now on your console. And if you have any questions, enter them into the chat and we'll get them answered as soon as possible. Okay, we've got a lot to talk about today, but before we get going, I want to sort of set the stage for what we're going to be talking about. In the last few years, Microsoft has shifted its premium support model from Microsoft Premier to Microsoft Unified, an unlimited support model that has resulted in longer wait times and higher prices for its most valuable enterprise customers. Despite the downsides of this transition, many organizations have struggled with the idea of moving to an alternative support solution. There's a lot at stake, after all, and a wrong move to an unqualified support partner could make matters worse. So I want to start with Mike. My first question is for you. What are the primary issues or pain points you've seen among Microsoft customers motivating them to consider moving away from Microsoft Unified? Has it been mainly cost, or is it service quality, or maybe a combination of the two?
Typically it's one of those two main points. I mean, customers are always, going through the COVID era and beyond the COVID era, there is always a financial implication just to the rising, surging cost in year by year of how Microsoft Unified is structured today. So cost is definitely what I would say makes most customers at least start to entertain that. In it just as important, though, is that service quality, right? So looking for someone that can fill that void, maybe be from a financial aspect a little bit more, make more sense as far as cost is concerned, but quality definitely plays a part in the overall frustration that kind of makes them make that final leap and start really entertaining other ideas. And, there's always a third one that I call fear of the unknown. They always want to look out there. It's a relatively new space. And by new, I mean, we're talking 5 to 7 years that this space really incepted and became a real thing. So it's still relatively new in that landscape as well.
So sticking with Mike for just a second, what are some of the experiences your customers have reported about response times, expertise, and customer services with the unified support model?
So I'd say the top things that I probably hear from talking with customers or potential customers is obviously the delay between that initial ticket creation and actually getting a resource that is capable of helping provide troubleshooting steps. So you get the automated message, if you will, from that initial triage or escalation manager, essentially saying, hey, we've got your case, we'll be getting back to you. It's usually the time delay between that causes a lot of challenges and pain points. On top of that, you also have a lot of delay in ultimately how long that ticket stays open. So a lot of the back and forth. And a lot of that is because the way that Microsoft support is structured in their unified model, it's a very outsourced model. So a lot of outside entities are kind of coming together to try and fill the support gap for Microsoft. And it causes a lot of challenges between communication between the different vendors that you potentially are working with, and ultimately leads to lower customer satisfaction because it's taking so long, or you get the Groundhog Day effect. I submit a ticket, I get moved to a certain individual, that individual is the wrong team, I then get moved to another team, and then, oh, guess what? I have to repeat the entire issue over with a new resource, and it creates a lot of frustration in the model, which ultimately extends your resolution time and delays response times.
Okay, so what criteria should IT professionals consider when evaluating and selecting third-party support providers? What qualities or capabilities should they prioritize?
So I would definitely look for partners that are in this space that have obviously a full 24/7 support operations. Making sure that they are staffed in all of the Microsoft technologies is definitely an important stack to look for, because again, with this being a new space, you have a lot of challengers or up and coming partners that are looking to jump into this space, but their model is built off of the old cloud solution provider or CSP model, where essentially they only staff during business hours and they only staff tier 1 and tier 2 support. So they're still heavily reliant on back-end escalation to Microsoft to really fill that senior level experience and expertise, which is what most of these clients are looking for. They are large organizations, enterprise customers looking for a true like-for-like support model that they were or are looking to fill that they didn't have today.
Fascinating. So, Bob. Hi, Bob. Talk about the impact on your organization of Microsoft's shift from Premier to Unified Support. Maybe, what was the most important factor in your decision to seek a third-party provider? And could you maybe share some examples?
Happy to. So, I would answer the question and say it was really two motivating factors, and I think Mike hit on a couple of them, or both of them. US Cloud presents to us a better product at a better price. I had been a Unified customer for years. Our requirements around getting a hold of a Microsoft subject matter expert were immediate and very demanding of our global nature of our products and our customers. So SLAs are critical to me. So having a quantifiable number, a sincere number, which is really what I want to hit on, that provided resolution to our problems as quickly as possible, was the most meaningful thing that I've experienced from US Cloud too. So my experience with Unified Support with Microsoft was, as Mike described, we'd open a support incident, a ticket, we would immediately get a contact back, which was usually an engineer or a person, an individual who didn't have any of the subject matter experts actually remediate or work on the issue. And that was quite frustrating. So the product that we get from cloud is that, you're getting a response back in a timely fashion, and you're getting in touch with the right subject matter experts in a much more efficient manner. You combine
Geoff,
that.
I'm sorry, didn't mean to interrupt. Go ahead. So, Geoff, same question. What was the impact on your company and what ultimately caused you to make the move?
Yeah, John, we were slightly different to Bob's experience. So we had a Premier Support contract. Contract was due for renewal. Microsoft sat down with us and presented the new Unified contract to us with all of the additional bells and whistles that came along with it as well. Not as a major surprise to anybody, but the cost of the Unified contract was really our primary driver to go and look for an alternative solution. So we weren't especially dissatisfied with the support that we were getting from Microsoft, but we went through an exercise where we dissected what would be included with inside Unified contract that if we decided to go ahead. We broke it down into the different elements, and then we gave it a weighting and a cost matrix against that as well, just to see whether we could justify the increase of costs within inside the support organization from the ground up. The exercise included all of our internal departments that were heavily utilizing the Microsoft ticketing system. So everybody had a chance to contribute and to give where their priorities lay within inside their teams. But to be honest with you, when we tried to pull it all together, we just really couldn't justify to the business or to ourselves the huge increase that we saw with the difference between the Premier support contracts. And that was the ultimate driver to go and look for an alternative partner for us.
Okay, Mike, so this is, needless to say, a big move for most organizations, turning from a third-party support provider to a third-party support provider. Maybe talk about the risks associated with transitioning from Microsoft Unified and how organizations effectively have been mitigating these risks or might mitigate these risks.
Yeah, I mean, so there's a lot of elements to a support contract, especially with Microsoft, and how involved or interconnected their products are into organizations' IT infrastructure, right? So, with that being said, I mean, the risks that I would talk through with customers are more around, does the third-party provider actually have depth of knowledge and expertise in the areas I'm looking for support in? Another risk is the relationship. I hear it all the time. How is this going to impact my relationship to Microsoft because we are a big customer of their products and software services? So, it's really more about educating and eliminating that persona or perception of a risk is most of the conversations that we have with customers, telling them that, hey, you're still important to Microsoft. We still support Microsoft's products, so we, in a way, are a partner and a customer at the same time. Microsoft's very important and interconnected into your environment. We understand that. So it's really more about comfortability because, again, it's a new thing in the Microsoft OEM space to look at third parties. It's been there for years with SAP and Oracle. You've got the Rimini Streets, the Spinnakers, the Originas for IBM. They've been doing it for years, but the model is much different on the Microsoft aspect because there's still a connection between the partner providing the support and ultimately getting that customer to Microsoft through some escalation process or maybe a proactive engagement or some service that you need to pull from Microsoft, which stays intact. And don't forget, your EA sales support team is still there to support you for many initiatives, whether they're pre-sales initiatives or as just a support customer on the EA and licensing aspect. So there's a lot of caveats to that. And customers need to look at the risk as far as how integrated are they with Microsoft with enhanced services, as an example. Do you really leverage a lot of those add-on services on the back end that are very critical to your business being successful from a Microsoft standpoint? You need to look at what are our current initiatives that we have ongoing right now, and at least have an awareness of different projects that could potentially be impacted by going to a third party. Now, of course, with our customers, we try to create a transition plan and continue to assist them, whether it be reactive. We also do proactive and consulting services as well to make sure that that's a seamless transition as possible through that journey.
Fascinating. So, Bob, I'm sure that risk was a big part of the decision that you guys at Bottom Line made. How did you guys assess the risk of switching from a major provider like Microsoft to a third-party support solution? What criteria did you use to evaluate and select a suitable support partner?
Yeah, great question. So, I went through the process of, talking to peers in the industry, went through customer references even that I was assisted with US Cloud, because where I get most of my feedback is actually talking to other customers. Their experiences before we committed to a contract with US Cloud was critical for us in our decision making, and I'd highly recommend any potential customer who's considering doing that to talk to other customers in order to ascertain, what their experience is like. That combined with what I mentioned earlier, there were sincere SLAs, not just checking the box saying that we're going to get an engineer back to you and somebody contacting me within 4 hours. That doesn't really add any value to me or to my team to be able to remediate problems. And then ultimately, cost. That was an easy one. I know that Geoff talked about it. It really is significant savings. I'm sure like most organizations who rely on Microsoft products, they're a critical vendor to their day-to-day operations. So making sure you have, that relationship is also an expensive one. So making sure you can save money in the process of improving the quality of the support, it was a win-win.
Gotcha. Hey, Geoff, same question. How did you guys at Dormakaba quantify the risk of this pretty important decision?
Yeah, so once we've broken down the unified contract into the different components that came as part of that solution and identified what was core to us and what really was not necessary, or we, as we said before, we couldn't really justify the cost that it would deliver and not realise the benefit that would come out of that as well. So we did exactly the same as Bob. We wanted reference customers. We wanted to understand that any future partner that wasn't Microsoft, how long had they been in the industry? What was their reputation like? How did other customers see their experience on a day-to-day basis? Was it exactly what it says on the tin, or was it just sales talk? And this is something that is obviously a major concern to us as we're going through any sort of transition from any organisation at all.
Fascinating. So let me think here. So Geoff, what were some of the biggest challenges your organization faced during the transition from Microsoft Unified to third-party support? How did you guys overcome those challenges?
There were a number, obviously, that we got back, John, from the different teams, and I'll just run through a brief list, and I'll also explain a little bit how we overcame them challenges as well. So how did we quieten the noise within some of the departments that were having some major concerns about, it's not Microsoft, is the quality going to be good, what is the experience going to be? And as talked about earlier on, it really comes back to the fear factor of Microsoft is Microsoft, and it's familiar, and all right, it might not be great sometimes in your experience, but it's still Microsoft, and there's a comfort factor with inside having a contract directly with the provider, certainly of most of our integral solutions that we got with inside the organisation. So first major one was concerns regarding the quality of support if not delivered directly from Microsoft. And the way that we did this is that we managed it internally after partnering and signing up with US Cloud. We heavily monitored all the tickets that were created during the first 3 months of the engagement. We did a questionnaire based upon the tickets that had been raised to our internal team to get their feedback, so that it wasn't, it was as raw as it could possibly be. Was it a good experience? Was it a bad experience? How did, would you take the next ticket? Would you still take that to US Cloud as well? So that really helped to settle down a lot of the internal departments, that there was a mechanism for feedback and development and adjustment that was also there. And maybe one of the things that is not fully appreciated is by partnering with US Cloud, we get to talk to the people that can make decisions, not work our way through a chain of hierarchy within inside Microsoft, which, if you're lucky, you may get to talk to somebody that's part of the product team, but no guarantee. From a support model point of view, we really find that US Cloud delivers massively inside this area, that they're open to listen and to take criticism as well. It's a two-way street, and we see our engagement as a partnership more than anything else. Next one was SLAs. So again, we track the tickets, we utilize the portal from a reporting point of view to make sure that the tickets were being answered with inside the SLAs that our teams required to support our business. Another one is, how does the loss of the Microsoft Teams technical account manager impact the day-to-day operations? This was an avenue that we would take where we would get major changes or impacts on our technology. This was part of the TAM. And we found that to be a little bit problematic, that we didn't always get the right information, that it wasn't always current. And we had a couple of surprises that meant that we were having to do a reaction to a change that was taking place within inside Microsoft at a really short notice, and it almost caught us out a couple of times. So we changed that a little bit, and we challenged the internal teams to say, guys, this part is not included at the moment. So you need to take responsibility of the services that you are delivering into the organisation yourselves and become responsible rather than being reliant upon a third party to tell you that you need to do something. And there was a little bit of resistance to start off with, but we've been with US Cloud now for over 2 years, and that resistance completely evaporated. Ticket escalation was another one. Again, we tracked the P1, P2 tickets, including the escalation where we needed back-end support from Microsoft, so we understood the process from a support point of view from end to end. Another one, chalk and talk sessions. Yeah, this was something that some of our teams actively used or planned to use, and we explained to them, we still have our enterprise license, we still have our enterprise contracts. If you want to do a chalk and talk directly with Microsoft, that's possible, but again, these are services that US Cloud can also offer, and these are services, when offered by US Cloud, it's a quicker response time. I've got some stories that I think everybody's got trying to organise a chalk and talk. You find the engineer is booked up for 3 or 4 months into the future, and you're planning your next workshop in 5 months' time. Yeah, the experience of US Cloud is not the same. Probably the last one, but again, the one that's critical and the decision driver for Dormakaba was the cost control. Yeah, what's our burn rate? What's our, are we really getting value for money? We heavily monitored the burn rate over the first 3 months to make sure that the estimate that we took from the original Microsoft contract in terms of support hours that we would require from US Cloud was in the right ballpark, because it was a little bit of an unknown. We had some more data that we could use, but how that would be realised within inside US Cloud, and again, by tracking on the burn rate, we quickly established that actually we were roughly in the right ballpark with the original agreement from them. So these were really the key challenges that Dormakaba had identified during the discussion about moving away from Microsoft.
Same question for you, Bob. What potholes did you guys have to dodge on your way to third-party support?
Sure. Yeah. So bottom line, it's a global operation, right? So we have offices all around the world in all different time zones. One of the big concerns was the 24 by 7 support coverage, and whether that was going to be adequate for our needs. That built up. There was a lot of anxiety when we first moved. I think that anxiety was alleviated by the quality of the product. Again, it was just a superior product that, like I mentioned before, and very much like Geoff described it. The SLAs, the engineers, the quality of the engineers that lined up to the particular products that we were having trouble with provided immediate response and resolution. That once that trust was gained and it was used 24/7 by different parts of our organization throughout the world, then that was behind us from an initial standpoint. One of the other areas was, the loss of a TAM with Microsoft was a big concern of ours. But honestly, what I find very exciting and valuable with the U.S. cloud relationship is that we do have a monthly business review with the TAM, and we go over our detailed status of our pre-purchased hours, and we have conversations with that TAM about if we're not on the proper burn trajectory to get through or consume those in an efficient way by the end of the contract. They're presenting me options about ways that we could use those efficiently and continue to gain an ROI from the investment. That is 180 degrees opposite of what it was like having a conversation with our Microsoft TAMs, who, if, as you guys may know, are mostly sort of sales orientated. So they would have a monthly business review with me. We'd go over what issues we had. And instead of trying to help me solve those issues, they would try to sell me more product. And honestly, that wasn't really what I needed. So that was another reason and frustration as to why making the move over to a third-party provider, such as US Cloud, was easy.
Okay, so this question is for both Bob and Geoff. Maybe start with Bob, as long as I've got you. Now that your company has made the switch to third-party support, how has the change? How has it panned out? You've been with US Cloud for a while. What have been the key benefits to your organization? And what advice would you give to other IT professionals considering a similar move?
Sure. I would tell you, don't be afraid of walking away from a Microsoft unified or premier support relationship. The quality, my experience has been proven that going to a third-party provider, you're going to get a superior product at a better price. I would tell you also that, the value that we get year after year is obviously in the cost savings. That's if I put my CFO hat on for a moment and say, these are the things that I can bring to the company, as IT is always looked at as a cost center, honestly. And if we have to sometimes make very important decisions about where we spend money, I would prefer to spend that money efficiently on a support organization like US Cloud that gives me the value and ROI that we deserve for our hard-earned dollars. So that's it.
What do you think, Geoff?
Yeah, from the Dormakaba point of view, the changes worked very well with the transition across to US Cloud. We have realised the expected significant reduction in our support costs, as we said before, which is our key driver. But that is also balanced out with no impact on our support of our Microsoft technologies that are in use today by the organisation. So we've had no fallout from making that decision at all. The advertised rate that US Cloud was part of their sales and the overview of their organisation is the expected resolution rate is 4 out of 5 tickets are done internally with inside US Cloud. Certainly for Dormakaba, that holds absolutely true. I think we're currently at 79.8% of our tickets are being handled and resolved directly with inside US Cloud without the need for any other third party to be involved with inside the resolution chain. And the other bit that comes back to a point that Mike made earlier on as well is that we've also realised the amount of time and effort and resources that we consume by talking directly to Microsoft with the problem that they've got with inside their own internal organisation, where we were answering the same question multiple times as the ticket tracked its way through the Microsoft organisation. And that's probably not understood how big of a change that is for the organisation. And when people don't do something because they don't have to, it tends to get forgotten about. But for the way that we look at our contract, for me, this is one of the biggest benefits that we've got out of it. It's not just about the cost savings directly, but it's the indirect cost of having that resource tied up for half an hour trying to explain for the third technician that's been on the call and getting them up to speed. That's a major, major win for us as part of that transition process. And the statement that I say to everybody that I talk to about the possibility of moving to US Cloud, Dormakaba has not regretted one day in changing supplier away from Microsoft.
That's great.
But for anybody that's thinking about it, evaluate your current environment. Make sure that you understand exactly where your dependencies really are. Really, really dig deep into your risk management about that transition, and utilize US Cloud to help you mitigate those risks as well. Yeah, they are. We found them to be more than willing to partner with inside that process and give the business the steer along those lines as well. And then look at the marketplace and US Cloud for us was the best offer that we had that was not Microsoft.
Fascinating. Okay, Mike, I guess kind of the same question in a way. What advice would you give to anyone considering a move from Microsoft Unified to third-party support, and what should they keep in mind throughout the evaluation and transition process?
Oh yeah, I mean, these guys said it fantastically. You know, it's due diligence. As your organization stakeholder and leader looking at these options, do your diligence. You know, vet out that partner properly. Look at their entire portfolio services. Do they provide some sort of 24/7 reactive support operations? You know, if you have global or non-global needs. Do they provide some kind of advisory or project-based services to stand on top of their reactive break fix? And do they provide just overall consulting and technology areas around the Microsoft landscape? That's important. Making sure that you're partnering with someone that aligns with the technologies you need support for, as Geoff said. You need to do that diligence. You know, keep in mind, as you're going through the evaluation and transition process, some partners provide a risk-free POC like we do, some don't. So, you know, do your diligence on the whole service offering that you're providing. Look for partners that are willing to be flexible with you to make sure it's a big decision, no doubt. It's a big decision to make the move. There's a lot of fear, uncertainty, and doubt, or you know, what I call the FUD that goes into this, that scares customers initially, but once they get through that initial shock phase, they actually see a lot of value most times with those third parties. So keep in mind that, you know, do your diligence, but also remember it's a learning process. You know, not only are you learning a new partner and how to work together and partner together better, we're also, as a provider, learning how to partner with you and our customers, right? So knowing that you've got to give some grace on getting to know you, period, getting acclimated, us getting in, you know, up to speed, if you will, on the initiatives and the pain points and challenges you have in the Microsoft stack, and vice versa, leaning on us and finding out what our full capabilities are and what you can actually utilize us for, more than just an insurance policy when things break in the middle of the night. That's a very important process that I think all customers should take the time to really evaluate to make sure that they're making the right decision.
Okay, so I wrote this last question for you, Mike, but really anybody, you know, feel free to chime in. I always want to look to the future. You know, do you see a shift? How do you see, let me put it this way, Microsoft's shift to Unified has caused, you know, some changes. How do you see the future of enterprise support evolving? What will the role of third-party support solutions play in this evolving landscape?
Yeah, I mean, I'll start, and then I'm happy to hear what Bob and Geoff also have to think from their side of it on the customer side. But, you know, when I look at enterprise support and how it's evolving, it's constantly evolving. You know, with the emergence of AI and potentially Copilot in the Microsoft space, things are changing at a very rampant pace. So it will continue to evolve. You know, what role I think third-party support will play is an even larger one than you see today. Because the way, if I were a betting man and I had a crystal ball, I would say that the way that Microsoft's trending in their reliance and their outsourcing to their partner ecosystem, they are going to continue to ramp up the support and really help establish a partner support ecosystem. It's obvious they have learned that they cannot do it on their own with the sheer amount of volume and customers and support issues that they have on their products. Right. They can't do it by themselves. So that partner ecosystem is going to be probably the most important component of that support ecosystem, because the partners do have the experience, they do have the knowledge and the resources and capability to help resolve a huge majority of the issues that current Microsoft support technicians see today, and only engage product teams and those owners and experts on the Microsoft side when it is legitimately a bug issue or a code problem that needs their attention. So the partners are filtering out a majority of that. And I see Microsoft kind of leaning towards that model, because that's why you saw the CSP model incepted a few years ago. They're pushing the licensing, and they're by the entry-level support to partners already. They use partners in their MCS division, which is their consulting services division. So for proactive and project and consulting, strategic envisioning, all of those types of services, they're using partners today for that. So they're coming out with new ways of doing EA purchasing that will be partner led. So I mean, the writing's on the wall. We're just happy and fortunate to be really ahead of that game and really advanced in that curve, if you will, quote unquote. But I can see partner led third party support becoming the prominent way that customers receive support for their technologies and products, because the partners have that direct, in-depth relationship with their customers. They know the technologies, they know their pain points, they know their challenges. So not only can you get satisfaction from a reactive standpoint, you have a trusted partner that's there to also help you look down the field of view and see what's coming and plan for that accordingly as you're making financial decisions that impact that.
Fascinating. Geoff, do you have thoughts on this?
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with the direction of travel, really, for enterprise support. I think maybe one of the key considerations is to pay for what you need rather than having a bundle that means that you're overpaying for a solution where you don't necessarily need more than 50% of the content that's being offered at the moment, which is our experience with Unified. So the more granular you can be in the ability to select the services that are key in terms of support, those are the organizations that I believe will be most successful going forward in supporting the Microsoft environment of the future.
Bob, your thoughts?
I agree wholeheartedly with everything that Mike and Geoff said. I think AI is coming. It is already here. I think its potential benefits to be able to deliver quality information and resolutions to customers is undeniable. It's going to be a part of everyone's life. But I think the trick will also be balancing AI's adoption with, I would say, the frustration of being just delivered meaningless or useful information that helps an organization get to their resolution. And we partner with US Cloud because of the people and because of the relationship. And I would hate to see that be replaced with artificial intelligence decision-making process. That's all.
Okay, we are about out of time, but I want to ask Mike, if attendees want more information about third-party Microsoft support from US Cloud, what should they do?
So for one, uscloud.com. We have a very great website that has a lot of useful information, not only on our products and services and our capabilities, but also we keep up with the latest, greatest trends in the Microsoft landscape. So it's a great place and a great resource to go to read tech blog articles or to gather information about our products and services. So, also I would also encourage, if you don't, most customers that we work with at this level do have some sort of relationship with a third party provider like Gartner or Infotech, right? So go to them. You pay for their services. Have that conversation with them about Microsoft third-party support. There is documented information and assistance that they can provide.
And that, folks, is all the time we have for this Tech Talk. I want to thank Mike Jones, Bob Love, and Geoff Stone for an informative conversation. Absolutely fascinating. And many thanks to the folks at US Cloud for making this conversation possible. Thanks, everyone, and have a great day.